Alright, so we're going to discuss soldering, desoldering, and, guitar electronics, basically. Or, soldering them. So, we all had a guitar where, it seems like the volume, the output on it's low, or, like, there's a crackle when you turn the volume knob, or it just doesn't, something goes wrong with it, or you take it to somebody, you get fixed, and you get it back, and there's another problem. And that's my favorite one. You go take it to a luthier who can, like, fix, bad necks, or do like a new cosmetic design or whatever. But when it comes to the electronics parts of it, their soldering connections suck pretty bad. So this is a one I use to kind of like demonstrate, so there's a lot of solder on it already. But we're going to discuss a bad point. So you can see there's a ton of solder on this connection here. It's actually not even really connecting with this plate. So what'll happen is your volume would be fucked up, like it would be low. That's where you get the crackle and some other things too. Or your connection's not, you can tell it's not good. And so what you need, obviously you need a soldering iron, you need a wet sponge, like a damp sponge, tape, because you want to be able to tape back the parts you don't want to get burned, you don't want to mess with, your wires and whatnot. Wire cutters, for me personally, I like a razor blade. Some people like some wire trimmers, but anyway, razor blade works for this, especially this stuff, because like it's, the wires are real thin, you don't want to cut too much off. Oh, and then soldering wick, or like a soldering, oh, what's the word, my brain's not with me today. It's like some kind of suction thing that sucks up solder. Alright, but anyway, so we're going to discuss getting rid of this shit. Hopefully you can see. I'm gonna try one more time. Alright. So, you want to clean your soldering tip, and you want to tin it. What tinning does is it helps preserve your tip. Helps you just keep them from replacing them, and it also helps it helps melt solder old and new. A little bit off of there. There we go. So anyway, we're just going to take, needle noses are very good too, because obviously you can get really close without having to touch anything and burn your hands. Just going to touch it to the back of this old solder and lift off. Move that guy to the side. We're going to do the same thing to this this lead right here. And there's a little bit of wire, hopefully you can see, but there's a little bit of wire actually sticking out from behind this lead. That's all I'm going to touch, is actually that little bit of wire. And it should get it hot enough to actually pull it through. Boom, right there it is. A lot of people, I think the problem, nobody wants to do this by themselves or try it. They're afraid to mess something up. But just keep in mind, like, if it's metal, it can get hot. If it's the back of this volume pot or contour pot, it can get hot. If it's this wire, it can get hot. Wires carry electrical current. If it's these leads here, they can get hot. So just kind of keep that in mind. Don't be afraid. As long as you have a 30 to 40 watt soldering iron, you should be fine. Now, as far as getting this stuff back up, hotter soldering irons work a little bit better, but I have a 30, so we're gonna make do with what I got. Now, I'm not going to clean it up like super nice, just kind of give you a rough idea how to do this. So when you're doing this, when you're using the solder wick to extract solder, solder flows in the direction of heat. So say you have solder here, you place it to the top of the braid here, and it'll actually pull it up into the braid. And it takes a little while to do this with the soldering wick, but it gets it a lot cleaner in my opinion. And that's the idea. That's what you want. You want to have a clean surface when you're reapplying, because the idea, solder is, it's kind of like a glue. It's metal, but it's not as conductive, and it's not as good as actual contact from the wire to the metal piece. But obviously you need something to hold it together, because it's not going to stick. So, but anyway, that's what you do. Just kind of get it hot, and then you just use this to get it up. So really not a whole lot to it. Just keep in mind the whole entire wire, not wire, but the whole entire wick does get hot. It's basically like a very wide copper wire, so it'll actually get hot all the way up to here. Even like my fingers are feeling it right now, but it's fine. It'll be fine. Now this is all I'm gonna do for now. I don't have a whole lot of time, and I don't have a way to edit this right now. So, but anyway, you just do this for let's say somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes, and you should have it all cleaned up. And you do the same thing for up here, right? Or you do the same thing for these leads right here. You put it here, melt it down a little bit, and then you come over here, you get this wire hot, and it'll pull it out. It'll start pulling that crap right the fuck out. Boom. That's what I'm talking about. Go in the direction of the heat. Ah, damn, it's working good now. Boom. And then your pot will have a clean hole. And that's essential for when you're replacing the wires. I don't want to do that with my finger, that would fucking suck. Alright. What the hell happened here? Okay. Now. So. Now what we do, we take our new wires and we tin them a little bit. Now, same thing like the like putting it on here. Same thing as that. Same thing as tinning a wire. Ow, fuck. Ha! Motherfucker is hot. Anyway, so you just heat the wire up, and that's it, man. That's it. A little bit of solder on the wire itself. That'll come in handy later when you're trying to actually apply it to this. Okay. So what I'm going to do here, I really wish there was a better way to show you. I'm actually going to apply. Always keep that tip clean, man. It just preserves it, helps it make better connection, helps it heat everything better. It's just all around better. Always keep everything clean. But we're going to put a little bit of heat back here where the wire is actually connecting to this metal prong. Right, and then you're just going to touch it. We're not going to pull a lot on. We just want it to stick. That's the whole idea. Is just you just want it to stick. I think that's it right there. Yeah, boom. You don't need a lot. I mean, it's barely any. I actually still have a hole in this lead. I hope you can see it. Well, anyway, I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's still a hole there, even with the wire in it. That's how much solder you really need. Not a lot. Okay, well, now we're going to do the same thing. Motherfucker. Out of the way. We're going to do the same thing to this. Now, I can't even express how awesome these things are. These helping hands help hold everything in place for you. Because unless you're born with 4 arms like Goro, this shit's kind of difficult with 2. Oh, another thing with these though, keep in mind this grip is extremely strong. So when you're doing this, it might be good to take a little bit of tape and wrap the wire. I wouldn't use that though. I'd use electrical tape. But then you can just wrap the wire, or you can just take it and actually wrap the teeth to keep it from clamping on the wire and exposing the wire that's inside the insulation. Alright, motherfucker. There we go. Get out of my way. And so we tin. This wire's already been tinned. Just tin a little bit up here. And so we're just going to put it on the back of this plate. Because remember, this can, this can be hot. It doesn't matter. It's meant to be hot. or get hot to be for a solder to be applied. And when I'm just gonna put it right next to this wire here. You know, sometimes it helps to kind of rub it around a little bit to get the surface area hot by the wire. But this should make the wire hot and the back of this plate hot, and that should melt my solder for me. And it'll be just enough to hold the wire down. That's nothing. That's fucking awesome, actually. Now, as you can see, it's more wire than solder, and that's what you want. It doesn't matter. This ain't going nowhere. But that's a proper connection, because you want as much wire touching the actual metal piece as possible. You want less solder, more wire. So yeah, you know, you want these. As far as well, this would be a good example. When I was saying about the razor blade, let's say like I didn't have any pre-exposed wires, and I was trying to get some wires out of this. Now, using wire cutters are good, like not snips, but like actual wire cutters are good. But for me personally, with this being such a small gauge, I like to do this by hand, because you can feel, you just put a little bit of pressure and you'll stop. You're already through the insulation, because there's not a lot of insulation on these tiny wires, right? And you just kind of rotate it a quarter, you push again, and then you can take it. If you look in light, I would show you on there, but it's really hard to see. I've already tried to do this before. You take it in light and look for that little you look for your incision, and you bend at the incision, take your thumbnail, place it inside that incision, right? And then you just pull, and it'll come right off. And now I have all these. See if I can show you on here. Oh. Yeah. See all my strands of wire? A lot of times guys will try to use wire cutters and cut them, and you only have like 3 strands of wires, and you're trying to make a connection with it just sucks, because there's not enough wires. You know? And then, like I said, just take your bare wire, just tin it a little bit. Put your soldering iron on the wire to heat the wire. Boom. Tinned. That's it. It's ready to go. And that's it, man. I mean, there's not a lot to it. I think it's just getting over the intimidation of it. But you know, you save yourself some labor. You learn a new skill. And if it breaks, you can fix it yourself. So, but like I said, let me see if I can actually make this work. I'll take this down. Like I said, this is an old volume pot, so there's a lot of extra crud on this side. But you can see, like, there's hardly any solder holding this down. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. See you.